If there is something that is going to grind you to a halt, something that is going to give you harsh breaks in your business, it is the issue of compliance. And particularly, and there are so many compliance issues that you can address, but mine is focused on the issues of occupational safety and health. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is you're watching from. My name is James Kinuthia Waithaka, the proprietor at SafePro Limited. I talk to you about safety tips and compliance, the environmental health and safety issues, and sustainability issues. Now, we are all in this space where we romanticize the issue of being an entrepreneur. And it is okay. It's a very good space. It's the only way we grow because I don't think the government has enough jobs for all of us. So welcome to the world of entrepreneurship. But then, I want you to take a pause and first of all consider something we call compliance. Because if there is something that is going to grind you to a halt, something that is going to give you harsh breaks in your business, it is the issue of compliance. And particularly, and there are so many compliance issues that you can address, but mine is focused on the issues of occupational safety and health. So you've opened a business, whether you're selling services or you're selling goods or you're even producing them here, you're a manufacturer. Congratulations, that is the first step. But let's now get into compliance. What do you need the moment you decide I am going to start a business? If you're doing this business alone, you're a worker. You're also covered under OSHA 2007. In Kenya, there is a law we call OSHA 2007. The 2007 basically denotes the year that the act was assented to. And OSHA is Occupational Safety and Health Act. It talks about the requirements for the employer, or rather the duties of the employer to the employee as far as keeping them safe is concerned. So as an employer, you have very strict obligations to ensuring that the people you put together as a team who come to work for you are able to leave the workplace, if not the same way, at least better, not any less. Not sicker, not with a back pain, not with a slip disc, not with a lost hand or a lost finger. They are basically supposed to go home, if not the same way, better than they came. But how do we guarantee that? So OSHA 2007 has the following basic requirements on you as an employer. And I'm particularly talking about someone starting their business. So this is what you will do. You'll first of all register your workplace. And registration is covered under Section 44 of OSHA 2007, failure to which you'll attract a fine of up to 100,000 shillings. But how much does it cost to register your workplace? You don't even need me as an safety expert to come and register for you your workplace. Just go to your browser and type in doshmis.go.ke and you'll see the tabs there and say register as a new workplace. Fill in the details. You'll be required to put in an email where you'll basically verify your email and continue with your registration. Once you're done and you pay the requisite fees, which is about 6,550, then you're able to print the certificate from the comfort of your room. And I know there are people walking around saying, oh, we consult on workplace registration. Usikoniwe, doshmis.go.ke, register the workplace for yourself, hang your certificate. That is your first journey. But then, even in the process of registration, as you're filling in the details, there are questions you will see that will basically bring you to life on the issues of audits. What are audits? They are basically an attempt by the regulator to identify what are the measures that you have put in place to keep these workers safe. And therefore, there are three key audits under OSHA 2007 that you must comply with. One is the Occupational Safety and Health Audit. That is covered under Section 11 of OSHA. The second one is a risk assessment. It is covered under Section 6, Part 3 and Part 4. You're basically identifying all the hazards, quantifying them and saying, these are the risks that these people will be exposed to. I'm using chemicals. What do I do about it to keep them safe? I am using machinery. What do I do to keep my people safe when they are using these machines? My machines are going to produce noise. How much noise do they produce? And how do I keep my workers safe using the recommended limits, both internationally and even locally, because there are local standards for the different exposures. So I've talked about the OSHA audit, the risk assessment. The third audit that you must do is what we call the fire risk We call it the fire risk audit, right? The fire safety audit basically is about checking what flammables do you have, what is the likelihood they are going to catch fire, and what have you done to prevent that likelihood. In fact, the rules are called the fire risk reduction rules, not fire elimination. So you're basically reducing the risk, because you'll never have zero risk. Risk is never equal to zero. In fact, when you're doing the formula for risk, we write risk, then we put an equal sign, put zero on the other side, and then cancel the equal sign, because the risk will never be equal to zero. So what you're doing is basically lowering the risk of fire in your workplace. So those are 3 audits. But then there are more requirements based now on the industry that you're in. So say, for example, you're just a bank or a service sector, an insurance office. You need the fire audit, you need the OSHA audit, you need the risk assessment. But beyond that, probably depending on the way the building is done, depending on the internal space, you might probably do an indoor air quality assessment. Check on the temperature levels, check on the humidity levels, check on the CO2 levels in the building, just to check whether the ventilation is okay and whether the people inside there are actually breathing clean air. But now let's come to someone probably who's doing manufacturing. You have certain chemicals, you have fumes in your workplace, you have machines that are making noise. You might need to do a little more according to the law. Certain other regulations will come and apply to you. For example, the noise control rules, where you're supposed to quantify the amount of noise being emitted from the different machines in your workplace. And how do you do that? By doing a measurement using a noise meter that is properly calibrated and registered by DOSH. And this is to be done by someone who is approved as a noise surveyor, or someone who is basically what we call an AQM, an air quality monitor, or a hygienist, occupational hygienist. They do the noise level measurements for you, and they also check maybe the amount of dust in your workplace, because maybe you have dust emitting processes. You have fumes that are in your workplace. So we do the indoor air quality. We check the dust levels, PM 2.5 and PM 10. Don't bother about that. Is the size of the particle in terms of the dust size. And generally, depending also on if you have extras, then of course, depending on the gases probably need also to be measured. Probably you have SO2, you have NO2, you have methane, you have carbon monoxide releasing processes. All these need to be checked so that people are kept safe using proper interventions. And they are scientific and engineering interventions. But these are basic requirements that you need to know about if you're starting a new enterprise. Now, beyond that, of course, when people come in, there are other regulations that require, and this applies actually whether you're in the service sector or you're in the production sector. Medical examinations, annual medical exams for all your workers. This is what we call the pre-employment, before they board. After you're done with the onboarding process, or rather after hiring them, make sure they go for a medical examination. And I'm not talking the one for insurance, all right? I'm talking about a proper occupational medical exam done by an occupational medicine doctor. And this is a doctor who's been certified by DOSH that they can actually carry out what you call occupational medical exams. So take all your workers through the pre-employment. Every other year now, take them through what we call the annual, or rather the periodic medical exams. Now, again, depending on the exposures. So if you're just a service industry, you could just do the general medical examinations, where we check on, the normal medical exam to confirm that their work is not affecting them. If you're in a noisy environment, you need an extra layer where you now come and test their ears. You know what you call audiometry tests. You check their ears whether they're being affected by the noise levels. If they are being exposed to certain fumes, certain dust levels, then you do the lung function test. If you're in a farm and you're using pesticides, that category of people who are dealing with the pesticides, they must undergo what you call cholinesterase enzyme tests. And this is blood tests that confirm the chemicals are actually not seeping either through the skin or through the other routes of exposure into their system and into their bloodstream. And the only way to check is the response of the body to certain chemicals and how the levels are, so that we know whether this person is actually getting exposed and whether they need more protection. So ideally, so we've said the most basic is register, do the 3 audits, that is OSH, fire and risk, and then other layers of measurements depending on the kind of work that you're doing. Now, what is the repercussion of not doing this? Of course, the first repercussion is the legal repercussions. that there is going to be legal consequences. DOSH can take you to court for non-compliance, and the fines can be very heavy. The second level of consequence is that your business is going to be affected. When workers know that you do not care about their welfare, they're not going to give their 100%, and you're going to have a lot of man hours wasted. Your people will be working for the sake of working because they are not connected to your workplace. And of course, the third level is business. If we keep hearing in the news that someone was fried in one of your boilers, that someone fell in your workplace, that someone, I don't know, was cut a finger, the reputation of the business is going to take a hit. And I'm telling you, in this era of information flying, your brand can be finished in a month just out of bad publicity. Because if you do not care about your people, then definitely people will not care about your brand. So you're there, you've started your business, or you've already been running, and none of these things has ever applied to you. Where do you start? Like I said, do the registration yourself. doshmis.go.ke, pay your fees through eCitizen, print a certificate, hang it on the wall. It's a requirement that you actually hang it. Display it, not hang it. Just display it. Then, when it comes to the audits, who does the audit? It's not you. You're not going to take a checklist online and do the audit. It is an approved person. This person has been approved by DOSH, the Directorate of Occupational Safety and Health Services. SafePro Limited presents to you an opportunity to actually comply with all those things I've talked about. We'll come to your workplace, assess it, do the audits for you. That is the OSHA audit, the fire safety audit, the risk assessments, the noise measurements, the air quality measurements, the medical examinations, right? Basically, all the requirements that you need to comply with OSHA 2007, they are all under one roof. And actually, even after having done your risk assessment, you'll even go further and recommend what are some of the PPEs now that you will need. You've been using type A of glove, we'll tell you no, use type B of glove. And remember, for us, because we are coming to advise you, our approach is very soft. We are basically advising you on how to make sure that you do not go on the wrong side of the law. So by me coming to your workplace, I'm not coming to see what is wrong so that I go and tell DOSH, oh, this person is not complying. No, it is me coming to help you comply with the law for the 3 reasons I gave you. Number 1, legal reasons. Number 2, moral reasons, and of course the morale of your workers. And number 3, because of business reasons. Because doing good is good for business. And I think that is Richard Branson who said that. So contact SafePro for trainings, for audits, for supplies, and for general advice, and even managing of your CapEx projects. When you have a construction site and you don't know how to keep your workers safe, talk to us. We'll manage the site for you. We'll keep the people on site, and we'll ensure that we are monitoring the process all the way from the beginning to the end. So talk to us, call us, email us, reach out to us on our socials, and we'll be able to also help you. Thank you very much.